Yeah, it's time to create new systems. It's really time to create new systems, and I want to explore different concepts. Talking to myself, right? Because really, you are a reflection of me, and there's so much going on in this world that we are not really fully aware of, and a lot of change is taking place. And the fact is that a lot of people do not have the freedom. Now, freedom is a choice, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people are still slaves to the system rather than sovereign and critical thinkers of their own paradigm and their own creators of their own reality. And so, my role in this current timeline is to provide inspiration, to provide an example, to provide a innovative lens at which to go through the world. And so one way in which I'm going to be doing that is a series called Visionary News. I'm a visionary. What that means to me is I think creatively and apply those creative thoughts to bring forth what I see to reality, right? I'm an artist inherently, and we are all artists, and that's something we can go into as another time, because the focus right now is to just give you information about what's going on in the world so that you can utilize this information to then understand where we're heading, and then prepare yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually to walk into that with peace, right? Because if we're being met with the future at a level of like, this is happening, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen, oh, what is going on? Then we're feeling chaos, then we're not feeling ease and harmony in our bodies, and that creates more conflict, more separation. So the intention of this is to create a level of awareness of what's going on so that we can flow as the changes inevitably take place in our reality. So what I have done, and what I have done right here, is actually, let me figure out how to screen record real quick. How to screen record on Mac. Shift Command 5. Okay. Let's bring that over here. Up there. And over there. Okay, and then let's hit capture. Oh, that was not recorded. That was a screenshot. Okay. I gotta go QuickTime. Alright, there we go. So, Gene. Okay, cool. Alright, so what I have done is I've created an AI that is dedicated to giving me information on a basis of non-bias about what's going on in the world and the different technological and let's keep it at technological shifts that are taking place in this world, right? And one thing that is important to understand about the way I perceive reality is that technology is an extension of what human capability can do, right? Because the second that videos came out, right, and this is an easy example because right now I'm utilizing a video. Now I can utilize that video to show somebody else a clip in a moment in time. And then the internet is something to where I can then utilize that video and show somebody across the world about my experience, right? And so what AI is now is a level of information, right? It's a database, and you can utilize that database in whatever way that you want. And it's really important to understand the value of what that means to the creative capacity of human beings, right? So what I have done is I've created an AI that is dedicated to giving me information about the changes and the shifts that are happening technologically on the planet. And so there are a few things that we're going to go into today. So the first thing is that gene editing is continuing to advance. What does this really mean when gene editing advances, and what is gene editing? Let's see. Alright, so see, it's so simple to ask, what is gene editing and how is it going to change the world? Because we're learning together. I'm not saying that I'm a professional, but what I am saying is that we have resources that can give us the information that we need on a professional level, right? So what is gene editing? Gene editing refers to a set of technologies that allow scientists to add, remove, or alter DNA, right? One of the most widely used tools is CRISPR technologies. DNA is the instruction set for life. Altering it means you can change physical traits, disease risk, biological functions. How gene editing is going to change the world. Medicine. Gene editing opens up the possibility of treating and even curing genetic diseases by collecting the faulty gene itself, not just managing symptoms. Complete shift in the paradigm in the medical and health industry right there. And the thing that we got to understand with that too, the whole world and the whole paradigm, what we're built off of right now, is a system that is all about profit, right? So the reason I worked for a long time in a hospital, and the way in which the healthcare and the health industry is set up is that we're not aiming to get rid of any of the medical diseases that exist. We're aiming to numb, we're aiming to desensitize, and we're aiming to prolong the negative effects of these diseases, right? And so the reason that we're trying to do that, and I say we as in I'm talking from the perspective of the health industry, the reason that they're trying to do that is because then they could sell us medicine, they can give us surgeries, all without ever getting rid of the issue. So that we keep spending on medicine, so we keep spending on surgery, and they can continue to profit off of our energy. So this is really different, because if we can then genetically edit our genes to where we can get rid of a disease, that completely shifts the paradigm. But here's the thing we got to understand too. The people that are in charge of this research are inherently the people that have money, because the only way that they can even figure out how to do this is with money, because they got to get researchers to get together and work in one harmonic collective to figure out how do we edit a gene. The only way we can do that in this current world is through money. And so the people at the top are then controlling this technology, right? And that creates a whole facet of different complexities within what this technology will bring to the future, because it's not necessarily in the hands of everybody, right? So there will be a specific agenda that this is pushed out. And one thing that I'm curious, and I don't have an answer, that's another thing, is like when I do these things, I'm really just exploring these concepts, and I'm hoping that this provokes and this inspires some dialogue about the things that are actually taking place in the world. And so one thing that this also, the question that pops up in my mind is, right, if the people at the top are then doing the research to get this, and their intention since day one has been to profit off of the majority of the people, not everybody's going to have access to this. And then when this does roll out to the collective, there's going to be something is going to be like twisted to where it's like this is going to somehow remain profitable to the people at the top. I don't know how, but that's what I would assume, right? So that's something interesting. Another thing that it says it would change is in agricultural and food security. We already have GMO in our foods, and we already understand that when we have GMO, our body does not react to that food as it would if it was a natural organic food. That's why we have organic. That's why organic is more expensive, and that's why non-organic is less expensive. Because if they can give the people that are poor the less expensive, then they'll remain in that cycle of poor because they're not as healthy. And health is wealth, and they won't be as wealthy if they're not as healthy, so that the people at the top, they remain healthy. The people at the bottom will continue to be in the cycle of poverty, right? So when we introduce gene editing into our food, that creates a whole nother amount of complexity, right? So are we going to genetically engineer these foods to give us more nutrients? Are we going to genetically engineer these foods to give us more nutrients, except this specific kind of people will really get diseases from it? This is all possible, right? This is all possible. And one thing that we got to understand within the paradigm that we're living right now, and the technology that is coming out, is that the creative capacity to imagine a world is the most valuable asset in this world. Because okay, we back. Oh, we also way too zoomed in on that. Yo, you gotta see my juicy lips. Hold on. Where was I though? Yeah, my SD card got full, so I had to put in a new SD card. Okay, we back. I also have not been recording on my phone like I thought I was, the voice recording, so Testing. There we go. But yeah, as I was saying, I was talking about the agriculture, gene editing in the agriculture. So many things are changing, and we just have to be aware. I mean, I really, creative capacity. That's where I was. The creative capacity to imagine a future is the most valuable asset in humanity right now. Creativity is the most valuable asset because with technologies that exist, anybody that gets to a place of power that has creativity, which is everybody has creativity, can then literally imagine a reality, and with the technologies that exist, they can, with enough influence, bring that reality way quicker to the forefront. So we got to really be aware of who we're putting in power, because they quite literally have more control over humanity that has ever been possible because of how advanced we are technologically right now, right? So if they're literally controlling the food, and the food, it goes into our stomach, and that is how we operate. We gotta understand what's going on right now, because this is not a time to be scrolling and no, bro. Wake up, bro. Wake up, bro. Things are happening, bro. All right. So there, agriculture, right? Beyond even agriculture, beyond even human gene editing, which is insane to imagine, right? I'm going to touch on this real quick. We're going to get to a point, and we already are at a point where we're creating babies from test tubes and stuff, but we're going to get to a point where we can choose this baby is going to be this tall, this baby is going to have this skin color, this baby is going to have these eye colors, this baby is going to be more, you know what I'm saying? We are customizing our entire world right now. And that's why I'm telling you, creative thinking is the most powerful form of currency right now. Creativity is the currency of the future. Telling you, bro, wake the fuck up, bro. All right, so boom. Yeah, beyond even human, beyond even plants. Bioengineering of materials. For example, let's say we bioengineer a tree. It's a plant still, but we utilize that tree and we make it so that it's as hard as steel. And then we can make it so that even though it's as hard as steel, it still burns like a tree. So then we can utilize this tree that is as hard as steel to then create a house that is really, really strong. You know what I'm saying? The possibilities are endless. Truly, So that's just gene editing. That's just one of the things that are taking place in this world. The next thing we're going to go into is quantum momentum. If y'all don't even know what quantum physics and the science of quantum mechanics are yet, y'all are behind. We weren't taught this in school. We were taught, modern day physics, whatever Einstein said, which is cool. There is legitimacy in a lot of what Einstein provided as information. But there's a lot new science now that we got to start looking towards and being okay, if this is true, why are we still doing this? Why are we still thinking this? Why are we still believing this? It's because we don't, this is why I'm doing this, to promote awareness about the new technologies, the new science, the new ways of thinking that exist now, right? So quantum momentum, computation beyond certainty. So all right, let's you see my screen right now, I hope. You don't see my screen right now. Okay, hold on. Okay, yeah, it already finished up right there. So let's show you my screen real quick. Alright, so cool. Let me do quantum momentum. Boom, quantum right there. Alright. 2. Just to get it aligned. Alright, bet. So let's look at this up. Quantum computers, and let's go back to this one right here. And let's say, okay, great. Let's shift the focus now into exploring the impact of, boom, what does this mean for humanity, right? I like to look at the lens of how things have an impact on the collective, because we are all connected, and as that's the future, us being more connected. We already have the internet, which connected us at an entirely new level, but even beyond the internet, we're going to have even more ways of connecting with telepathy, with, all right, so the next big thing is going to be glasses, and we're not going to need phones soon, but we're going to have glasses that we can act as phones. We're going to see AR, augmented reality images. Things are going to, like, maybe the glasses will have things that, play music, and when we go into a location, they could change the color of things, and we can customize how we see our reality. So we're also going to be connected to everybody in our, we're all connected, and things are changing. That's what I'm saying. And I want us to look at this. All right, so quantum momentum. Okay, let's do this. The phrase quantum momentum refers to the accelerating progress in quantum computing technologies, hardware, algorithms, architecture, pushing us toward a tipping point where quantum systems can do things classical computers effectively cannot. Computation beyond certainty highlights one of the core features of quantum devices. They leverage superposition, entanglement, and interferences so that a quantum bit, a qubit, can represent 0 and 1 at the same time. Right? So the way computers operate right now is ones and zeros. It's binary. But quantum computers means that it's not just ones and zeros, but it's ones and zeros. It's everything in between the 1 and the 0, which is infinite possibilities. So if we're having computers that operate beyond... Okay, look at what we can do with computers right now. So much, right? We've created games on there. We watch movies on there. We text on there. We make videos on there. We scour the internet and the databases of all the information that has ever existed on the earth on there off of a 1 and a 0. Now if we make a computer that is 1 and a 0 and everything in between, the possibilities and the power of that computer are beyond what we can even imagine. Truly beyond what we can even imagine. So we're going to be able to create, like, literally our own entire universes from a computer. This is why we got to understand what the nature of reality is, which is truly just... We're not going to go into that. Because I don't want to speak from a place that I'm not even 100% sure with. So... how quantum computing works, high level, right? So basically it exists in two places at once. What does this mean? Okay, beautiful. Speeding up scientific discovery. With gene editing, let's go back to gene editing, right? If gene editing is going to influence the world the way it does at such an insane level with the food, within our own bodies, within the future of what children will be like, within the fabrics and different things that exist around us. And that's already growing really quickly. A quantum computer will make that go like in advancement. Like every single thing in technology will advance at such a higher level because now we combine quantum computing with artificial intelligence, and we give artificial intelligence all the information that exists and the information that exists that doesn't even exist, like not to us yet, but exists somewhere in the field of infinite possibilities. It's really wild to imagine what a world like that could look like, and it will look like everything that we could ever imagine. That's the thing. So many real world problems will be designed. There's a high probability of free energy, but whether that energy becomes free, free energy already existed at one point in time in human history, probably multiple points in time in human history, but it's coming back. And whether or not that free energy is going to be utilized in a beneficial way or a negative way, and I use the word positive and negative. All right, let's say positive and negative. Positive meaning closer to unity, negative meaning closer to separation, okay? So that's really up to the collective. And another thing that I want to promote is collective movement, because we feel so isolated as a people. We feel so isolated. We feel like powerless as well. We aren't really empowered in our own in our own sovereignty because we've been taught to obey since we were young, to work jobs since we were young, to be not to work, well, yeah, since we were young, but I meant to be in school, but also to work jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, we worked jobs since we were young. We were taught to obey in school. We were given information and said this is the truth, rather than here's some information, discern the truth. You know what I'm saying? We were not taught critical thinking. We were taught memorization. That's completely different. And so what I want to promote is critical thinking. I'm not saying I have any of the answers, and in fact I'm saying I don't have any of the answers. But what I'm saying is, as a collective, we can create answers to the problems that we have by utilizing our own creative and sovereign thinking. Not just relying on the people at the top to create the laws, not just relying on the people at the top to give us whatever life that we think we want and whatever, you know what I'm saying? The American dream, like, for so long, all people in the United States wanted was a white picket fence, a house, a family, a dog, like 3 children. It's like, okay, like, who told you that was what you wanted? Was it your soul, or was it the things that were portrayed in films and movies and TV shows and everything that was pushed onto you as propaganda to control your mind? When we look at the word government, right? Govern means control. Ment is mind. It's the control of the mind. It's truly all the algorithms, every single thing that we look around, we have to be critical with our thinking to understand what is the truth and how do we relate to it. So that's quantum computing, and that's not even touching the surface of what that could potentially be for humanity. But again, just to put that in your awareness of what's going on in the world right now. Okay, here's another thing. That this is the last thing that we'll touch on. The last 2 things we'll touch on, really. AI compliance, the new social contract with algorithms. So the EU's AI Act, so the EU's AI Act, rolling out now through 2026, classifies AI systems by risk level from minimal to high. Companies must document data sources, intended use for human oversight, safety testing before deployment for general purpose. This is good, actually, because transparency becomes a law. People will be able to know, like, how is this algorithm made? What is in the data centers? Because what we got to understand about AI too is that AI is basically just trained data. It's data that has been, put into this big center, and there are so many places all over the world that have data centers, and they're continuing to grow and it utilizes a lot of energy, and a lot of water. But these AIs are basically trained on a specific set of data. And what if this data isn't true? What if this data is pushing a specific agenda? What if this data is pushing a capitalistic agenda? What if this data is pushing a racist agenda? You know what I'm saying? Like, this act gives us more awareness about the truth of what creates the algorithms that we utilize on a day-to-day. So this is beautiful. This is good. This is what we got to push. This is what we got to do. I like that. Okay, invisible conflict. Here's the last thing we'll touch on. Cyber operations, AI-generated propaganda, algorithmic market manipulation. These all blur peace and create separation. Okay. So, war is changing, right? In the past, in history, war has been soldiers. All right, let's go even way back. Way back in history, it has been, oh, you said something. Oh, you trying to take my woman. Oh, you trying to hurt my family. Oh, you trying to invade my village. I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to kill you. That's what it used to be. So I'm going to get my club. I'm going to get my gang. And I'm going to beat the shit out your ass. But then it turned into, all right, we created a gun. I don't gotta really come up to you and swing like that. I'm gonna just hold that to you and you dead. That's what it transitioned into. And then it's like that on a larger scale when we look at war and we look at tribes and we look at all the different wars in history with guns, and then we look at now we got airplanes shooting missiles and bombs, and then alright, that's what it used to be. Like physical conflict is going on. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things actually in the physical taking place, like on your physical body. You're dead. You're gone. Cool. The wars that are taking place right now are very mental and very spiritual, because let's look at an algorithm, right? Whoever controls the algorithm, whoever controls the feed, controls your perception. It's cognitive warfare now, to where it's like whenever you're scrolling, you're being fed. It's an Instagram feed, meaning you're literally like, let's look at it like a farm, right? You know how pigs are just given shit to eat. This is why I don't recommend eating pork. Pigs are just given shit to eat, and then you just kind of become that, which is shit. This is why a lot of people nowadays are full of shit, because their Instagram feed is shit. It's not anything of substance, of true critical and creative and not really adding soul and value to what you're here to do, not to your mission, not to your purpose. Is it inspiring you? Sometimes cool, amazing, but most of the time it's just feeding into your lower self. That's cognitive warfare. That's keeping you docile. We've become so desensitized to different things. We're seeing so much. All right, so this is something that is so real, so that I fall into, and that I have seen other people fall into in a lot of the world. There's brain rot and there's lust on the internet, on our algorithms, and those are highly pushed and highly commodified to grab your attention and then put you into a lower vibrational state, to where you can no longer think with clarity, so you can no longer think with purpose, and that every single thought that you have is taking you away from your power, because now you're seeking some sort of stimulation outside of yourself to fulfill a void that has been created within you by yourself. You accepted that within your body. You know, every time that you lust, quite literally, you're looking outside of yourself for that gratification, rather than looking up and looking to God and looking within to God. And so whoever controls the algorithm, and that's just lust and brain rot. What if we're looking at, and this is a clear example I'm going to give you from a personal thing. So I live in New York, right? And right now there are two people running for mayor that I'm aware of. There's more, but there's Governor Cuomo, who's governor right now, and there's Mamdani, right? Now, I was in the city and I was in a interview that was talking about Mamdani, and they were saying Mamdani he wants to legalize prostitution. He wants to do all these awful things, right? And then I see on the news this morning or 2 mornings ago, Mamdani, he's a great person, everybody loves him. This is what I'm talking about. It's hard to discern truth, and whoever controls the algorithm controls your perception. I don't know if Mamdani is a good or bad human being, and good or bad are also like, we gotta go past that paradigm too. Things just are. That's a whole nother thing that we don't gotta get into. But I don't know the agenda of Mamdani, because I'm being told one thing and then I'm being told the exact opposite. It's cognitive warfare. There are two different agendas being pushed onto you, and then let's say somebody's scrolling and sees one, and then somebody scrolling and sees the other. They meet up, and this conversation about Mamdani comes up. One person is thinking one way, one person, there's already conflict. And neither of them know the truth of the situation, but they've been controlled by the algorithms that have put a specific agenda in their minds, and now they identify with that, and now they want to fight each other. That's creating so much separation on this planet. that's really all I gotta say. It's Visionary News. I'm be doing this weekly, and I'm really excited and grateful because I will just get better and better and better, and I'm just grateful. So yeah. So we'll talk. Thanks for watching too. Critically think, be creative, and be sovereign. Be your own individual. Be a free thinker. Just be a free thinker.